Well, I mean, as you can see, these trees grow extremely high and they weigh, thousands and thousands of pounds. The tree is very dangerous if it's at risk of falling.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott has spent most of his life in a wheelchair after he was left paralyzed by a falling oak tree in 1984. He was simply going for a jog when the tragedy happened. He sued the Houston homeowner whose tree fell on him and the tree service company who inspected the giant oak tree, and now receives a nearly six-figure annual income from that legal settlement. But Governor Abbott said he'd give it all up just to be able to walk again. And this spring, a nearly 2,000-pound tree branch fell on a family at the San Antonio Zoo, sending them to the hospital. That family now suing for $1 million. With all the benefits trees provide, it can be easy to look past the dangers they pose. The average full-size tree can weigh as much as a ton, the equivalent of a car falling on you. Let's take a closer look at the trees here in Victoria, specifically those within Riverside Park. Victoria Parks and Recreation Superintendent Steve Gallagher says his team is proactive to make sure the trees at Riverside Park are safe and well maintained.
We're very proactive looking at trees and surveying them. Like I said earlier, we had 7-day-a-week operation.
Gallagher says his crews are always ready to go.
And then they're also looking for trees that are any hazards to sidewalks or parking areas, as well as just general trails in Riverside Park. And then we'll address that appropriately with our crews.
We wanted to get another assessment on the trees at Riverside Park, so we contacted Call Albert Landscaping, a local tree removal company based in Victoria. With thousands of trees in Riverside Park, they did notice some trees that needed attention.
You don't want to have these trees back in your yard. No matter how much you love the tree, you and your family, that tree need to come down. That's a big tree. You leave the tree, I mean, see.
Haley McGill is the director of operations for Call Albert Landscaping and says it's hard to estimate the exact number of trees at risk of falling, but Call Albert Landscaping estimates about 1 out of every 10 trees at Riverside Park need a close review.
Me and Fernando drove through the park earlier, just taking a look at groups of trees, and in our opinion, without looking at all of the trees, just the groups that we did, maybe 1 in 10 are not completely healthy. That most likely means trim. Just because I say it's unhealthy, that doesn't mean that the tree is going to fall tomorrow. It's just, in the future it may be it may be at risk of getting more damage and a weak root system and then falling.
Haley says that the trees should be assessed for their health by a professional every 3 to 5 years. Changes in a tree such as dead leaves, fungus around the tree, or peeling bark could all be signs of a tree at risk of falling.
You may notice loose bark or cracking in your tree, and on the outside it looks a little unusual, but once you start peeling that away, you notice, it may be hollow inside, and that's a huge reason that it may fall.
Fernando says this tree at Riverside Park is damaged. The tree sounds hollow and is overrun by termites. Mm-hmm. Call Albert says prices for a tree trimming can range from $250 to $2,500 and around $3,000 for tree removal. Victoria Parks and Recreation is able to handle these jobs most of the time within their own department. Annually, the Park General Fund gets about $3.5 million for personnel and maintenance and operation. Everything they do, from lawn mowing, cleaning the restrooms, and other park maintenance, is rolled into that general fund.
We're ready to go and keep an eye on things for the citizens here in Texas.
Oak, pecan, and Anaqua trees are the primary types of trees you'll find in Riverside Park. And without a professional assessment, you can never truly know the status of a tree.
I mean, well, just like the incidents that happened recently at the zoo, and to the young kid, if a tree doesn't have a stable root system, then it can be at risk of falling. And the tree may appear healthy, but if you don't have a professional assess the tree, then really, you may not have any idea of what's going on.
So next time you appreciate a tree and the shade and oxygen it provides, don't forget it's up to us to keep them safe and healthy.